So, what does it actually mean to be a good man today? It's a question on a ton of minds. And let's be honest, the old answers just don't seem to fit anymore. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a new idea called integrated masculinity, a framework for building a more complete, more authentic version of modern manhood.
And this question, it's not just some abstract thought experiment. It comes from a guy named Ethan, a 24-year-old software engineer. He feels completely trapped, stuck between two extremes of what a man is supposed to be, and neither one feels right. And his dilemma, it really hits home for a lot of guys out there right now.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got this rigid, traditional idea, the tough guy who never shows emotion, the sole provider. It can feel really restrictive, kind of like a straitjacket. But then on the flip side, you've got a total rejection of masculinity, which can leave you feeling lost, like there's no meaning or positive framework to build on at all. It's a real catch-22.
And this tension, this feeling of being pulled in two different directions, is at the very heart of what the source material calls a modern man's question. And this right here, this is the real kicker. It feels like we've gotten really, really good at pointing out what masculinity shouldn't be, what's toxic, what's wrong, but we've completely failed to create a positive vision of what it could be. It's like being told exactly what not to build without ever being handed a blueprint.
So, if those two paths are dead ends, where do you go? Well, this is where the source material introduces a really powerful alternative, a third way, the path of integration. Now, listen to this because it's important. Integrated masculinity, it's not about compromise, it's not about meeting in the middle. It's about synthesis. It's the idea that you don't have to choose. You don't have to be strong or vulnerable, traditional or adaptive. You can be both. The whole point is to bring these things that seem like opposites together into a more complete, more authentic whole.
And I love this metaphor. It just makes so much sense. Think about a tree, right? If it has deep roots, tradition, stability, but the branches can't bend, it'll just snap in the first big storm. But if it's all flexible branches, growth, adaptation, with no roots to anchor it, well, it'll just get knocked right over. The integrated man knows he needs both.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does it actually work in practice? Well, let's start by redefining two words that often get seen as polar opposites: strength and vulnerability.
Okay, look at this reframe. It's a total game changer. The old model says strength is having zero weakness, and that vulnerability is basically just failure. But the integrated model, it flips that completely on its head. It says real strength is having the guts to actually acknowledge your weakness. And vulnerability, it isn't weakness at all. It's just being honest about the fact that you're human.
And this quote from Alex, wow, it just brings it all to life. He talks about how exhausting it was, spending all that energy pretending to be bulletproof. It was like fighting with one arm tied behind his back. The moment he allowed himself to be vulnerable, all that wasted energy was freed up, and he actually got stronger.
So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. When a man embraces both strength and vulnerability, he doesn't become half as strong. No way. The argument here is that he becomes twice as resilient. Why? Because he's not burning all his fuel just keeping up an act.
All right, so this whole integration thing, it's not just about traits. It's also about the models or archetypes we use for manhood. For so many guys, the go-to model is the warrior, right? But what happens when that's the only character you know how to be?
Marcus's story is a perfect example of this. I mean, this guy lived and breathed the warrior archetype. Tough, confrontational, never let him see you sweat. And that worked for him, for a while, until he became a father, and suddenly he needed to be gentle and patient and nurturing. And he felt totally lost, because his definition of a man was just too narrow. Now, let's be super clear here. The point is not to throw the warrior out. We absolutely need that energy, that courage, that discipline. The problem isn't the tool itself. It's thinking it's the only tool in your toolbox. So, integrated masculinity suggests that men can tap into a whole range of these archetypal energies. Beyond the warrior, you've got the king for wise leadership. You've got the magician for knowledge and insight. There's the lover for connection and passion. And hey, don't forget the jester for that much-needed humor and joy.
So you see, real strength isn't about being the toughest warrior in the room all the time. It's about having the flexibility and wisdom to know which energy to bring to which situation, knowing when to be the king and when to be the lover.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you keep track of your own growth in all this? Well, that's where this next part comes in. Think of it like a map for the journey. It's called the Balanced Man Framework, and it just breaks things down into 4 key areas. You've got your inner strength, that's your relationship with yourself. Then there's outer capability, your impact on the world, your skills. Third is connected wisdom, how you learn and see things. And finally, authentic connection, your relationships with other people.
And look, the goal here is not to get a perfect 10 out of 10 in all 4 quadrants all the time. That's impossible. Life is messy. Think of this more like a compass. It just helps you notice if you're getting way off balance in one area, so you can consciously guide your growth.
And this is a classic example of that imbalance in action, what the source calls the achievement machine. We all know this guy, right? He's poured everything into his career. His outer capability is through the roof. But his inner life and his relationships, they're completely neglected. He might look amazing on the outside, but inside, he feels empty and disconnected. This map helps you spot that pattern. And that's the big aha moment this framework can give you. You start to realize that your career, being a provider, yeah, it's super important, but it's only one piece of a much bigger puzzle. A truly fulfilling life requires you to pay attention to the whole picture.
So as we wrap this up, there's one last really crucial thing to remember. This is not a destination. You don't just arrive one day and get a certificate that says you're the integrated man. It's not a title you earn, it's a practice. It's an ongoing dynamic process of growth.
And let's be absolutely clear about the ultimate goal here. This is not about watering down masculinity. It's not about being less of a man. It's about expansion. It's about giving yourself the freedom to be more completely and authentically and wholly you.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Looking at this whole framework, strength and vulnerability, all those different archetypes, what's just one small practical step you could take this week to move toward that more integrated whole version of yourself?